Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Ziggy's Rants. And today it's a special where I'm going to be discussing the referendum 10 years ago today. So please, plenty of likes to share to as many people as possible. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's free. It really helps with the reach of the channel if you can do that. If you can share the video, subscribe, and like. If you can do that, it'd be brilliant. Thank you very much. Now then, yes, 10 years ago, we had a referendum, and the referendum was one of the most divisive votes we've seen in this country, and it still divides opinion today, and it still has had an immense effect on Scotland. Now, 10 years ago, we voted in a referendum, and our side won 55 to 45%. In one of the biggest turnouts, I believe it was over 80% turnout, one of the biggest turnouts we've ever had for a vote. Now then, what happened? You'd think, well, that was it. End of story. We voted, we had the referendum, it was granted to the Scottish people, and Scotland spoke. And we did. And it was loud and clear. And the result was very clear. Over 2 million people voted to stay in the UK. But that wasn't the end of the story. We've had 10 years now of the nationalists not respecting the wishes of the Scottish people. We've had 10 years of the SNP local administration, because that's what they are. They're an administration. They're not a government. Salmon changed the name to a government, and they've acted like a independent country ever since. Now, my theory on this is when 10 years ago, when Salmon stepped down because he'd lost the referendum, and Sturgeon took over as First Minister undemocratically without even a vote from the members. When Sturgeon took over with her husband as the CEO of SNP alongside them, the both of them, what they'd come up with a plan of Scotland going forward, not of, well, we'll respect the result and we will get on with running Scotland's affairs within the UK. It's not what they did. What they decided was, we are going to act as a separate country. We are going to act and do whatever we can to be a separate country, and we will act like one. We will interfere in reserved matters. We will open foreign embassies, offices, embassies, whatever you want to call them. We will spend money on foreign aid, even though it's a reserved matter. We will try and gather some support from in the EU and other countries for independence, even though we'd told them categorically that we were not wanting to be independent. And ever since the referendum, all we've seen and all we've heard is about having a second referendum and that Scotland want independence, and it's inevitable. It's inevitable. Independence is inevitable. That's all we keep hearing. So they've gone against the wishes of the Scottish people for the last 10 years. And it has divided and separated Scotland. It's made it it's been quite hateful at times. It's been pretty disgraceful at times. It's anti-English rhetoric, anti-Westminster. We've seen a lot of we are very, very, very divided. And now we've reached the point where an independence has been pretty stable, around about 40% of the population. Now we keep hearing, oh, it's 57. Now we're hearing today at the coming up to this anniversary of 10 years, oh, it's at 57% would have independence. That's a lie. That poll that's come out never said that. They've interpreted it the way they wanted to interpret it, but that's not what the poll said. But independence is dead. Independence has never got above 40 odd, maybe 45% at very best, which they got in the vote 10 years ago. So it's never improved on that 45%. But it has actually dipped. And support for independence right now, I think it's at its all-time low. We've seen Independence March on Saturday where Alex Salmond was the main speaker. Less than 250 people turned up. Less than 250 people. We've had the general election where the SNP made it into a de facto election on independence, and they lost 38 seats and have gone down to 9 seats. So independence is pretty much off. Well, it is off the charts. It's gone. It's finished. It's not even a conversation in my view now. We had the High Court decision where Sturgeon took the UK government to court on whether the devolved administration are entitled to hold a referendum. And the High Court decision was, well, no, it is a reserved matter to Westminster. So a referendum is the purview of Westminster, and it's up to them if we ever have one. I don't believe they would or should give us one again. That's been cleared up. That's been done. It was once in a generation. Now, this idea, and it's another thing, we keep getting told, well, it's not in the Scotland Agreement, this once in a generation. It was never there. So it's not legally binding. No, and that's correct. It's not a legally binding term, once in a generation. But it was said on many, many occasions during the campaign, and not just said in the campaign. They put it, the Scottish government, the SNP, put it in a white paper. Now, a white paper is a government document. So they put that in a government document that it was once in a generation and you need to vote because it will be our one chance in a generation. So we've this is supposed to have been put to bed, but what we're hearing now is, first of all, Westminster, the general election, that's a de facto election. Then it's going to be, well, no, Holyrood elections in 2026 is going to be a mandate for independence. And if we get that mandate, then we are going to open the negotiations and we're going to leave the UK. Now, if, and it is a big if, the SNP are still the government and the biggest party in Scotland after 2026, they will be the biggest party on a vote of round about 34-35% of the vote that they normally get. So if they got that again and they become the largest party in Scotland, they're going to open the negotiations and leave Scotland with 35% of the vote. 65% will have said no, or will have voted, wouldn't have voted for the government. That's not a mandate. That is not a mandate. But it is an election. It's an election to vote in a Holyrood administration, and that is it. We've had 10 years of corruption, mismanagement, and lies from the SNP government. They've neglected our education, the health service, our local communities, our local councils, to the point that we're in now, where we are facing serious issues within our country. We are facing austerity. Well, we've had austerity for nearly 10 years now. SNP austerity, and it's SNP on steroids. And that brings me to another point. We have the worst drug deaths in Europe. Our alcohol deaths has just gone up this year, the highest rise in 15 years. We have some serious issues in Scotland. But what every politician, and I'm going to have a go at the opposition here as well, because they've fallen for this. We've been discussing independence for 10 years now. That's all on our political landscape has been independence. Another referendum. And as Sturgeon said, they've took their eye off the ball, not just on drugs and alcohol deaths, but on the country as a whole. We are in difficult situation here. We have seen some real big cuts to our local services. And that's due to having a government with a one-track mind, with a one-issue mind, one-issue policy, and that's independence. And to keep this carrot going, of the stick and a carrot of, we'll bring you independence, and that's all they talk about. But it's not just that, it's the mood of the country. And the attitude of the country of, well, let's blame Westminster for everything that's gone on. Let's blame somebody else. Let's hold them accountable, not the government within Scotland or the administration within Scotland. So we've had 10 years of, we've never moved on from 10 years ago. And we need to move on. We need to come together. We've got to stop this division within Scotland, this nasty atmosphere that's been created by the SNP and the independence movement. We have to move on. We have to come back together. Because at the end of the day, it's our generation that suffer. It's our people. It's the Scottish people that are suffering because of this. We need to come together. We need to start looking to the future and the future is within the UK, because an independent Scotland is worse off than a Scotland within the UK. That's absolutely 100% true. We would be worse off. We'd be worse off financially. We would have to have a hard border with our neighbours and our friends and our relatives. It would break us up, and it would be a disaster for the Scottish people, for the whole country. We see, and this argument that we keep hearing of, we're too poor, too little, too poor. You're disrespecting the Scottish people. You think we're too, we can't do it on our own. No one's ever said that apart from nationalists. Made up phrase by a nationalist politician. Because we do contribute. We do have a lot to give. But why shouldn't we contribute? We're part of the UK. I don't want us to be take. And it's this attitude of take. And we shouldn't give. We should just take. I don't want that kind of a society. I want a society of we do our bit. We contribute, which we do. The issue is, if we left the UK, we would be poorer. We would be worse off financially. And not just financially. Family and friends that live in England, our neighbours, cutting ourselves off from them. But we should contribute, and we do contribute, and I'm glad we do. But England contributes to us as well. That's how a country works. That's what a country is. So 10 years we've had 10 years of where this issue has not gone away. It's not been allowed to go away. 10 years we've had, and things need to change. Holyrood needs to change. Devolution needs to change. I would like the powers to be at Westminster. I think devolution was a bad idea, but we have devolution whether you like it or not, and it's not going anywhere. So I want it reformed. I want it strengthening. I want the ministers to stop lying in Parliament and to be held accountable. I want our committee systems to be stronger. And I want things to get done and get sorted. And I want the word independence banned from that building. Stop talking about it. Stop debating it. Let's move on now. We've decided. Respect the majority of Scotland and get on with doing the job and your job of running the country, because you failed Scotland. You failed. Now, I'm pleased we didn't get independence. I'm pleased that independence is now off the table. It's dead. So let's get on with our lives. Let's get on with making Scotland the best place it can be. Let's make devolution work and work for us. Let's stop blaming Westminster for all our issues. Start holding the Scottish government, whoever is in there, accountable. And if we can do that, we can make Scotland a fantastic place, because it is a beautiful place. It's a stunning place. It's got stunning views, stunning heritage, stunning history. It's got fantastic people. Really, absolutely fantastic people. And it's just a shame that a small minority are the ones that shouting the loudest. We need to get our voices heard. We need to start speaking up. And we need to start saying enough's enough. Because if we do that, we can get Scotland back on track again. We can make this country work. We can make this country better. So let's do that. And the next 10 years, this 10 years, now, the next 10 years, we can make this country great again. And the kind of country that I am proud of, and that we all are proud of, a Scotland within the UK. So that's my take and my rant on the anniversary of the referendum. If you've liked, please, plenty of that. Share and subscribe. So until next time. Oh, tonight's special, the Majority Show. Please watch. We'll be discussing more about this 10-year anniversary. So until next time, please join me again. Take care.